Okay, so very basic things. Let's try to get Jupyter up and running. Now, this is sometimes more difficult than it should be. Um, I hopefully everybody's going to get Jupyter. One of the reasons that I picked Jupyter instead of just like programming Python and an IDE, which in some sense might be a little bit better for starting out. Well, that's debatable. But at any rate, the reason I chose Jupyter is because it's a little bit easier to get up and running. I also, when I program in Python, I also use Visual Studio Code. So if that's something that you want to use, that's fine as well. But you'll need to turn everything in as a Jupyter file. And I'll talk more about exactly what you're going to be turning in a little bit later. But okay, so at any rate, if you go to jupyter.org, I guess, hopefully you can install. I think Jupyter Lab is something a little bit. Hold on a second. I thought I had Jupyter Lab installed. Well, at any rate, you want to get Jupyter installed. Sometimes you open it through Jupyter Lab, and there's an icon there you can click on. I open it by typing in Jupyter, and it opens it up. Okay. Once you get to Jupyter, you're going to have sort of a file structure that looks like this. I'm a couple of directories down, but you're going to get some sort of file structure that looks like this. I want to create a new folder, so I'm in my Fall 23 folder. I want to create a new folder for this class. So I'm going to come over here, folder. It says untitled folder. This is how it always works when you create something new in Jupyter. You're going to click on this, rename, and I'm going to call this Math 696. Rename. I'm going to go in this folder, and I'm going to create a Jupyter document that we're going to be looking at for this week. So new Python 3 is going to bring you into a screen like this. It's still called untitled. If you can come up here, you can rename it. I'm just going to call this week 1. Week 1, and I'm going to call it I don't know, just week 1. So there's going to be a week 1 homework. I'm not going to call it that. It's going to be week 1. Okay, so now what do we have going on here? Okay, so this is your basic input line. So Jupyter is, there's a bunch of different lines will comprise what's happening in a Jupyter file. So in each line, there's different things that we can do. So right now, code is selected. So that's going to be kind of what usually happens. So let's just look at a very basic thing that we can do. Let's say you want to know what 3,567 times 33 is. I just wrote that. All I did was type it in. If I want to run this line, there's two things that you can do. You can either press the run button, and you'll get this, or you can press Shift Enter. So let's change it to 34. You can press Shift Enter, and you get something like this. Okay, it's in these lines like this when we have code selected that we're going to do a whole lot of our coding. Okay, another great thing about Jupyter Notebooks. Is that in addition to writing code, you can also write Markdown. So Jupyter has its own Markdown language. So for example, and we'll talk about this as the week goes on. But if I want to look in a we'll get to Markdown like when we start doing LaTeX in the middle of the class. We'll get to Markdown. But just to show you, if I want to make a title, because if you want to make things look nice now, you can go ahead and start doing this. So I'm going to click maybe a title, and I'll put week 1. Okay, now it kind of has it in this different font than it had before, letting us know that something different is going on. And then when I run the code, when I run this line, it's going to give it a nice title. Okay, so week 1. And now I can come up here, and I double click, so I'm going to run it, and if I want to get up here and edit, I go up there and I just double click. Okay, and now I can type some things. So this week, we will learn basics of Python programming. So for example, if you come to the module, let me just point this out. If you come to the modules, and you come to like this I think if you look at this link right here, what this actually is, this all here was done in a Jupyter notebook. Okay, so all of this was done in a Jupyter notebook. And so it's very good because you can combine this exposition with code. And so if you want to, let's say you want to show your boss some data analysis that you've done, you can write some exposition and then right underneath it put the code with the data analysis, and you can have all sorts of visualizations, whatever it is you're doing down there. Okay, this is much easier than doing basically any other thing where you kind of want to combine this code, like live code that you can run with images. Okay, and I think it just works very good. It's also very helpful. Well, anyways, okay. So this is what we have. So this week we'll learn basics of Python programming. Okay, whoops, I did Shift Enter for some reason. So now let's say I want to have a subheading. So for a subheading, you can do 2 pound signs, and I can say basics of Jupyter, Jupyter, and so we get this subheading. Okay, that's all that I'm really wanting to talk about Markdown for now. And I guess that's probably all that I want to talk about in this video. In the next video, I'm going to look at very basics of things that you can do with Python, or very basics things that you can do with programming, just variable declaration, basic input, output, that sort of thing that you can do. Okay, that's it for this video.